Welcome to Wolf's Watch. We have Michelle Mehta. I'm so excited to have her with us today. She is one of the women that is part of our Women in Leadership series. You are in for a treat today. Michelle was born into an Indian family, and she's the first in her family to be raised in the U.S. She still talks a lot about how she was raised with love and support within the family too, even though growing up in the U.S., which is very different from the culture that her family grew up in. Trust me, if you've been watching Wolf's Watch, I apologize. I have done this before. I'm so excited. I'm just tripping over my words because you are truly in for a treat. Michelle started her life in the corporate world, worked in financial services, moved to another part of the corporate world, but the layoffs, the instability in the corporate world really showed her that that was not something to align with her values. So she accepted an opportunity to work in the family business. And while she enjoyed that, she realized that there is a path for her that can have a much greater impact. And that is what she's doing today. She is a TEDx speaker. She is a certified coach. She works with teenagers to help them build confidence. And what a massive impact that has. Thank you so much, Michelle, for being with us today.
Oh my God. Thank you so much, Jeff, for that wonderful introduction. I love that. I felt like you've been following me since I was a baby.
Oh,
Thank you so much for that warm intro.
you're very welcome. And it is so well earned too. I mean, just the work that you're doing with teenagers. I'm looking forward to talking with you about that. But first, I wanted to ask, I mean, you started out on the path in the corporate world with a little bit more traditional career. Why did you move into what you're doing today? You know, the work as a coach, working with women, working with teens. How did that unfold?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, for me, it was, this big idea goal of like, you go to college and then you get a job into something that you're studying. And for me, I was studying finance and marketing. And I thought, okay, my big goal is going to be I'm going to walk on a Saturday or Sunday, and then I'm going to get a job on Monday. And I did. And my first job was in insurance industry. And I became a financial services a professional. I started selling life insurance, and all of a sudden my entire team dispersed after 6 months of being there. Like I woke up one
Oh,
morning and I'm like, it's gone.
geez.
And then I went into Wells Fargo, and banking thought maybe customers will come to me instead of me looking for them. And I went through 8 managers in 8 months, opening up
Eight managers in 8 months.
8 managers in 8 months on
Holy
the
cow.
store side and on the sales side, because each
Hmm.
branch has 2 managers, right? You
Okay.
have one manager managing the tellers, and then you have one manager managing the entire store. So a combination of them, 8 in 8 months, right?
Yikes.
And on top of that, I had to open accounts for people when,
Hmm.
with the daily goal. And so my family of 4 had 24 bank accounts that they did not sign for. So these were accounts that they had by force, not by choice. And I quit and I went into recruiting. Thought maybe I'll help people find their dream careers, because the underlying
Okay.
theme of my entire life was I wanted to help people for the right reasons. And even
Yeah.
though I studied finance and marketing, the only numbers I cared about were phone numbers and birthdays. And that's kind of been like my mojo since
I
I
like
like
that.
started
Phone
studying
numbers and
finance.
birthdays.
Exactly, because you need that to build a relationship. Call a person, wish
Yeah.
them a happy birthday. They feel good, you feel good, and then you move on, right? And
Well, and sometimes you
yeah,
might be the only person that reached out that day.
exactly,
You know, I
exactly.
had sent out a work to keep in touch with people that have birthdays, you know, because Facebook will say, hey, here's whose birthday it is today. And I work at, sending people a happy birthday on, and someone that I hadn't seen for a while. We've been friends offline for a long
Yeah.
time, but we just work schedules and whatnot. We hadn't seen each other for a while. And the next time we caught up, he goes, I really appreciate that. You were the only person that said happy birthday to me that day. And I was like, I, I didn't know.
Right,
So you never
exactly.
know.
You just never know in this crazy world that we live in. And then from there, I went into recruiting, helping people, find their dream jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And I got laid off in my 3rd week there for being too nice.
Third week for being too nice.
Yes, that was the reason they gave me.
Oh my
That
gosh.
your customer service background from your previous job will not support you moving forward. So we're not gonna let you finish the training. It was a 6-week long training. We're gonna
Wow.
basically cut you out right here. And I took a deep breath and I said, okay, that's okay. Like, this was the second largest staffing firm in the world. There's obviously number
Wow.
one. Might as well go to the number one, right? Like, you just climb up the ladder. And so I did. I ended up getting a job with Adecco, their IT arm of Adecco with Modus.
Mhm.
And 94 days in my job, I got laid off again. So within a span of
Holy cow.
6 months, under the age of 25, I was 24 at that time. I was going to turn 25 in December. So the summer of, the 20, when I was 24, I got laid
Yeah.
off and I didn't know what to do. And so I was like, the next best step that Indian people do is go get a degree, right? Go back to school. You need a master's
Okay.
degree, go apply for a master's program. I took the GMAT, I applied, and I got rejected from the one school I actually ended up applying, which was the school I graduated from. And I knew I was going to get rejected because I had months of experience, not years of experience. And so by being rejected from the school, I said, okay, this is definitely a blessing. I think I'm going to go into human resources management instead. And so I signed up for UCLA Human Resources Management Certificate Program. And in that course, I realized my greatest strength, which was about leadership and development. And I realized that all along, it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault that I got rejected or I got laid off or I had 8 managers in 8 months or my team disappeared. It was the company's core values that were not in alignment with mine. And it was the
Mm.
company's
Yeah.
fault that I realized. And at that moment, I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. My dad said, hey, you know what? You can't live off of unemployment at this age. You're so young. You have your whole future ahead of you. You need to do something different. So why don't you come work with me? And I said, this is such a goal of mine when I'm in my 40s, definitely not in my 20s, right? Like I'm in and he said, no, just work with me. And so I did. And it was a difficult relationship because me and him have the same personality. So when you work
Oh,
with
yeah.
people with the same personality, right, you are going to butt heads because you think differently, but then you act similarly. And so just that
Yeah.
balance of it all, I got the flexibility I needed. And in 2015, I was volunteering at a local festival here in my city. And I had this elderly gentleman who was Indian ask me, what is it you want to do in life? And I said, I really want to help people for the right reasons. I don't want to like hurt them anymore. I don't want to be a product pusher. He goes, have you ever thought about life coaching? And I'm like, you mean to be a PE teacher or like a sports teacher? He goes, no, like you help people manage their life. And I'm like, huh, that is so cool. How do I start? He goes, well, my daughter's been doing it for 10 years and she loves it. Why don't you connect with her? I'll send you an email, connect with her, talk to her, see what's up. And
Yeah,
so,
and I apologize for laughing, but it's just what a wonderful response. So life goal, you mean like be a PE teacher?
right? Like you
Oh my
think
gosh.
coach equals sports, right?
Yeah.
Who would have thought coaching equals life, right? And
Well,
I,
but in hindsight though, right? It makes more sense.
right, it makes more sense.
It,
So that's what happened. And then I took
wow.
my first class at Coactive Training Institute,
Mhm.
which is now, it was formerly known as Coaches Training Institute. So then I took a course at Coactive Training Institute,
Yeah.
and it was literally the missing puzzle piece of my life.
Wow.
I walked into that class. It was a 3-day weekend, and I told my dad, I'm going to go take this life coaching class. He goes, where are you going to get your clients from? And who's going to buy your services? And your life is already messed up. And who's going to do this? And I said, I don't know. I don't know what I don't know, but it is at a discounted rate. I'm going to say yes. Let's go forward. And so I did. And I learned about it and I fell in love with it. And I asked one of my friends, I said, I'm in this like life coaching program thing. He goes, why don't you coach me? I was like, really? He goes, yeah, 15 minutes for a week, every single week for 6 weeks. You in? And I say, yeah. At the end of
Excellent.
6 weeks, he said, I learned more from you than I did investing $20,000 with a business coach. Michelle, you're on to
Wow.
something. You need to you need to take the next step. And I guess I should take the next class. And so I took the next class the following year. And then I signed up to finish my coursework in 2017. And then I got certified in 2018. At the same time, I started my certification process. And the good news was that my dad sold his company to a company based out of North Dakota. And so I started that new company and my certification at the same time. And both of them,
Excellent.
surprisingly, in my life,
Mhm.
ended at the same time.
Wow.
My certification ended in October, and I got laid off a third time in October. And so on November 1st, 2018, I decided to be an entrepreneur and go into life coaching full time. Didn't know
What
what the hell that meant, but said
did,
yes to it and moved forward.
but did you get the example of the entrepreneurial path from your family?
I did. I learned about taking risk. I learned
Okay.
about investing in yourself in terms of like you take out loans. And for the first time in um for the first time in my life in 2019, it was the first time I had credit card debt. As in I had balances that I could not pay off. As in
Mm,
I had less income and more debt,
yeah.
because I continued to invest in myself with various coaches. In 2019, it was 19, and I invested in 19 different coaches in 1 year. Invested over $50,000 in personal development and also found my passion of helping teenagers at the same time. Because I was working with women back then. Because
Hmm.
I was like, let me, for me, women were easier. I would help them with self care, self routine. Because what happened in a woman's life is that she gets married, then she has to take care of the spouse, then she has kids, then she takes care of the kids. And so at 11 o'clock at night, it's when she wants to look at herself. She can't, she's depleted, she's exhausted. And so women would work with me to help them put themselves first so that they start their day with them first and then they end their day feeling fulfilled because there were tasks that could not be done on themselves. And so that's basically how that happened. And those same women came and asked me, "Have you ever thought about coaching teenagers?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." But in my mind, I was like, "No, I don't really like kids. That's usually something that my sister handles. I like the adults better." But in May of 2019, I got invited to be at career day at my old middle school, and I shared with them the evil voices that they have. I said, "How many of you have evil voices inside of your head?" Every single hand went up, and there were 100 kids that day between the ages of 11 to 14. 100
Oh
out of
my
100
gosh.
kids said, "Yes, I do." And I asked them, "What are these voices telling you?" "Jeff, I'm not good enough. I'm not loved enough. I'm overweight. I'm not smart enough. I'm an idiot." And my heart sank and it sank and it sank with every response that I heard. And I said, I have to do something. And it brought me back to when I was
Yeah.
16 years old.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking about. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and also, how many adults do we, when we really, as hard as it is to get adults to talk about that, right? Because when you're a kid and someone says, do you hear, is it chatter in your head? It's like, yeah. When you're adult and someone says chatter in your head, it's like, no, 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 no. Because I don't want you to lock me up because I'm hearing voices.
Yeah,
But we don't,
exactly.
we just don't talk about that as adults. Yet when we do, how many of us as adults have those exact same voices?
Exactly.
Still,
It was so surprising.
but
And,
that's heartbreaking.
I just said, like these voices are only going to get amplified once they leave middle
Yeah.
school because
Yeah.
middle school is kind of like your safe zone. And then in high school, you're like thrown to the wolves, right? And then college, you're thrown to the lions, right? Like basically, like some will probably eat a part of you, but as you get older, they just eat all of you. And I said, I have to do something. So I immediately called up my business coach I was working with at that time. And I said, we have to shift gears now. We have to go from women coaching to teenage coaching only. I need to create a program for that. I need to write out like the whole details about it. Like we need to shift gears now. And I'm so glad I did because in 2020, I worked with the teenagers and I got them to graduate. I got them to get into their dream colleges. I really got them to really own a part of themselves of like, yes, they can do it. And then the pandemic hit and I lost the clients, but then a whole new door opened. And that door was getting accepted into the TEDx organization as a speaker as I applied to the university that I graduated from. Cal State Fullerton was having a virtual conference. And I had one conversation with them and I got the congratulations email, which is unheard of in the TEDx world. It is unheard of because I
Mhm.
had no application. I had no like 2-minute video. Did not have to write my script. I just had one Zoom call with them to get to know me. They get to, I get to know them, they get to know me. And within 2 weeks, the congratulations email happened. And that became my biggest goal, was not only to be an entrepreneur and coach, but also to be a speaker. And the idea of being a TEDx speaker was instilled at one of the conferences I attended in 2019 with one of the coaches I worked with. And they say,
Mhm.
where do you hear Michelle speak? And they all said TEDx, TED Talk. And I thought it's going to be
Mm.
a 2030 goal. Did not
Yeah.
realize it was a 2020 goal leading into 2021.
Well, especially in the midst of the pandemic.
In the midst of the pandemic. So I had a virtual conference. I did not get the whole mic and, on the red
Mhm.
dot thing, but that doesn't matter, right? The thing is that I'm a TEDx speaker and no one can
Exactly.
take that away from me. And 2019 also gave me the opportunity to collaborate in my first book. 2020 allowed me to become an international bestselling author. It allowed me to be on a cover of a local Indian magazine, and ABC decided to do a press release about me. And so this all happened January, February,
Nice.
March. And then we all know what happened in March of 2020.
Yes.
The whole world shut down. And so I saw that as, well, the universe couldn't handle a small town Indian girl getting all the success. So we're just going to shut the whole world down. And that's what happened.
But yet there you are, perfectly positioned though,
Yes,
when the teens needed what you were offering
exactly.
most.
And I
Ooh,
think my
this gives me
success
chills. I
comes.
mean, the timing, it's one of those things you go, oh, that could just, around our house, we have a running joke. So, it's probably just coincidence,
Yeah,
because
exactly. I
we
mean,
don't
but
believe in
this is
coincidence.
this is why everything happened in my
Mm.
alignment that it did, because I'm in my
Yeah.
30s. I'm not married. I don't have kids. So I still live with the experiences that I had when I was 13 years old, all the way up to like adulthood, right? I remember that like it's yesterday. I still remember my middle school days because I don't have anything else to cover that up. It's still with me and me, right? Whereas it's the kids that these kids are like the adults that the kids are interacting with, and vice versa, is their adults are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. They've
Mhm.
forgotten what's it like to be a teenager. They've forgotten what's it like, that struggles that these teens had outside of social media, right? The internal pressure, the pressure to perform, the pressure to succeed, the pressure to get into the dream college. I mean, the
Yep.
pressure list goes on and on and on. And
Well,
so,
and the
you
pressure
know,
is so much worse than, like, for example, when I was a teenager. Still, I was out for dinner with some friends, and somebody was joking. I go, "Oh, to be 17 again," and it was just like immediately looked at him and said, "You couldn't pay me to be 17 again." It's a tough time under the best of
exactly.
circumstances.
Yes.
That's a tough season in life
Exactly,
because of everything
exactly.
that's going on, and you have really no control over what
You
you're
have
doing
no
unless you're.
control, and that's what happened, right? You have no
Yeah,
control, and you're just like a ping pong ball kinda going around other people's ideas, and no one's really asking you what you want. No one's asking you what you wanna believe in. No one's asking you what voices you're telling yourself, right? What sentences you're telling yourself. You hear,
yeah,
"I'm stupid," like it's normal. You hear, "I'm an idiot," like it's normal, and then you start living and making decisions based on being an idiot, based on being stupid, rather than really owning and saying, "No, I'm confident." Like I was giving compliments to people when I was in high school, and that equaled I was a lesbian, right? Like I was being bullied for giving hugs in middle school, right? But then I didn't know that 5 years down that line, all of my friends' parents had divorced. My parents were the only ones that stayed together, right? So there was a lack of intimacy that was shown in their
so
world.
so that was, you were getting bullied because your parents hugged you.
Yeah, I was getting bullied because I would hug my
Oh my
friends
gosh.
and they would get
Yeah,
mad at me.
yeah,
But I didn't know that their parents would not hug them back.
yeah,
There was the parents had so many internal issues that they were not interacting with their kids like I was getting interacted with,
yeah.
right? So I was getting middle school was all about getting mad for getting
Mhm.
hugs. High school was all about getting, bullied for giving compliments. And then I changed high schools and I said, I'm not going to let my past define me. At the age of 15, I made this decision as I'm walking into junior high. I'm not going to let my past define me. I'm in a brand new environment. No one knows me for who I am. And I'm going to make the best of this experience. And so I did. I found new friends, and these friends are still friends till this date. I mean, we're more than just like happy birthday friends where we just wish each other. We literally have conversations. We are supportive of each other's dreams. We're there with each other because I made that mindset shift of I'm not going to let other people define me. I'm going to walk into this brand new environment and own that. Right. And
Yeah.
having that strength, having that courage to think that, right? Because
Hmm.
I literally had failed sophomore year of high school.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, I was in
And
honors for
kids
the
can be
first time in
brutal
my
about
life.
things like that.
Yeah, I was in honors for the first time in my life. I was like, wow, I actually fit into something because everybody around me was in honors. And I failed three of those, I think, six classes that I had
Mm.
because I had just given up on school. Like my mental level was just depleted. I didn't care anymore. Right. And it's not because I didn't like school. I just didn't care. The negativity was just sinking me
Hmm.
inside. And so my parents knew something was wrong and they said, we need to get you out of there. And they did. And I didn't want to move because I didn't want them to see my grades. Right. Because if
Ooh,
I move, they're going to
right.
see my grades and it's a whole new conversation. And they said, that's okay. And so I ended up taking community college classes in lieu of the classes that I had failed. And so I was doing community
Oh,
college and high school at the same time. And I got into the dream college that I wanted, which was at that time Cal State Fullerton because
nice.
of the major that they were offering.
Hmm.
And so that's where I learned about like personal development. I learned about speaking. I learned about embracing all of my strengths. And so, and when it was like a really big coincidence when Cal State Fullerton said, hey, we want you to present at our first TEDx conference because I had spent 5 years of my life being part of that community. Right.
Well, and
So,
you're bringing such a powerful example back.
yes, yes.
Good
So
for you.
that's been my journey of how I really came about being here because my big mission is to just help people for the right reasons. People are taken advantage of because of the sales pressure, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
being people are being product pushers rather than actually understanding and taking the time to connect. And one of my biggest like compliments that I get from people that know me really well, it goes, Michelle, you connect with anybody. All they have to be is be a human and you can have a conversation with them. And I said, if that's what that means, that's what that means. And I realized that as I got deeper into the entrepreneurial world, I love kids more than ever because they're teaching me how to be unconditional. They're teaching me to be judgment free. They're teaching me to just live and let go. They don't care if 50 people are watching them troll around in a half moon circle, right? They don't care if their skirts lifted up or their tops lifted up. They're showing off their tummy. They're just having fun. And they are our
Yeah.
future, whether we like that or not, whether we believe that or not. They are our future, right? And
Well,
so
that
hearing
that
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 story just made me,
lack of fear of
yes,
looking foolish, because that, as an adult, that's one of the things that I have to be mindful of. Is
yeah,
I don't mind doing something as long as I can look cool while I'm doing it. And if people are
right,
watching, it's like, yeah, I got this. No matter how bad I'm doing it, I got this. I may be like that much into mastery, but I've really got this piece of the mastery. I don't want you
right,
to see me tripping, falling down the stairs or making a mistake or going, oh, I don't know. I got to call 20 different people because I can't figure out where the on switch is, even though
right,
I'm an engineer, recovering engineer, that kind of stuff as an adult, where kids, and they're like, they don't really care. It's
right.
like, oh yeah, we do something funny. They laugh and they may tease each other a little bit and they move on. They're not really worried about that.
Exactly. And that's what it is, right? Like it's just we put so much pressure on showing up a certain way that we forget what we're all about. Like we forget what we're there for. We forget our own mission. And this journey that I've been on entrepreneurial route, my parents are like, "Yeah, we're so proud of you, but you need to go back into corporate America cuz that's where the real money is at, right? Cuz that's what they've been trained with." But instead, I find that I haven't been the happiest I've ever been
Hmm.
was when I made that decision on November 1st, 2018, exactly 4 years ago, to be an entrepreneur, and my happiness started changing.
Wow.
because I was living
Yeah.
with my sole purpose. I wasn't living things and doing things based on other people's values. And when the opportunity came to present and do a TED talk, my parents were like, "Can't you do it later? Can't you do certification later? Can't you do this later?
Mm,
Like right now, your job is to make money. Your job
yeah.
isn't to do stuff that you could do when you're married and have kids." And I know from my experience of working with women that if I waited to do these things when I'm married and have kids, this would take me 50 times longer. Because by
Yes.
the time I want to think about my creative idea of TEDx journey, I'm like, I'm ready to go to bed, right? Like, who wants to go out down that path? And right now, I said, if I build a strong credibility right now when I'm single, and I don't have responsibilities, it's going to take me a little bit further away. And then I can be there for the family I create. It can be there for the family that I have already.
So can I just two comments on that?
Of
Because
course you can.
these are the kind of things that my wife and I talked about when we first met.
Yeah.
Because one of the things is if you do that, who you will attract into your life will now be completely different than if you had not taken that path, and if
Yes.
you delayed that and said, well,
Exactly.
I'll do that later after I do all this other stuff. Well, how can you attract someone in your life that's going to support you in that
Yes.
if you're not already on that path?
Exactly. And that's been one of the struggles because I always joke around with people. I have an unpaid career of 10 years, and that is called dating. It gives you an immense amount of experience, but it's not fulfilled yet. The
Yeah.
fruit hasn't been planted yet. It hasn't been created yet because I don't know where my match is because I feel like I keep transforming my life every time I attend a seminar. I keep transforming my life every time
Mhm.
I talk about a part of my life. And through that transformation, if people are not invested in themselves already, there automatically becomes a disconnect.
I know where he is.
Oh, yeah.
He's on back order
He's on back order.
because he's just as you're preparing, he's preparing.
Oh, yeah.
So
100%. He
because
definitely
it's
is.
taking a lot of preparation and effort and clarity
Yes.
for both of you to become the people that will attract each other, that deserve each other. See, and that's the other side
Yes.
that comes along with living such an exceptional life. It dramatically narrows the field of who
Yeah.
is acceptable to allow around you.
Exactly. It definitely does. And I have always been that type of person. I know what I want, I go after it, right? I've always been that goal-oriented woman, since I don't remember when, but I just know that, I wanted to go into speaking, and so I did. And I recently emceed at a LA India Fashion Week. It was my first time
Oh, nice.
emceeing at an event. After I've been in a coach for a while, right? And
Yeah.
really
Well, what was
holding
that
the
like being as an
microphone.
MC? That's a very different experience than
Oh, it's a
say doing
completely
a
different
TEDx
experience.
type of
It's a
talk.
very different experience. And my mom, my dad, my sister, and extended family was in the audience. And I asked for feedback because I always like to get feedback to see how I can grow. And the feedback that I received from these people said, "You belong on that platform." And that's probably the first time I've ever heard them be so supportive of this unconventional route I've been taking, right? And I've spoken at funerals and I give speeches, and it's a very different environment when you actually physically hold the mic and you have the whole like hair, makeup, all that stuff done. And I literally let the stage flow through and out of me. I had the audience energy flow through and out of me. And I showed up way different than I would have otherwise. And it's given them so much more confidence in who I am that reduced the imposter syndrome that I was suffering with. Because that's something that happens when you see yourself as something and then you expect the society to see you as something else. And until I became a
Mm,
TEDx
yes.
speaker, the imposter syndrome was there. And the moment I became a TEDx speaker and my family heard about it, my family saw my talk, they participated in the talk, virtually. And
Nice.
all they could say was, "You were amazing." And I let my
Good.
work showcase my life, right? I let the things I do showcase. And so you look at any of my social media posts, it's about a book being published here, or like I'm speaking over here, or an opportunity came to me and I'm so blessed to be a part of it. And those things came because I just kept working towards it.
And as you're watching this, the reason I invited Michelle to talk with us today is I met her when she was at an event speaking on stage. So I've seen you on stage and you were very comfortable there. You're good. You're great from stage, good energy. And also, coming back as you're watching this, if you don't do a lot of speaking from stage, there's a lot of energy that goes on there. You're putting a lot of energy out to the audience. You're getting a lot of energy back from the audience. So it's interactive on many different levels.
Yes.
And you had great mastery, great energy, and it was fun to watch you on stage. I thought, oh, we just have to, especially given the work you're doing with teens, we just have to have a conversation.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's something about, I don't know what happens to me. It's like I just get on that stage and I just share my message. And I recently spoke at the U.S. Air Force Academy. And
Oh, that's
I
right.
spoke.
Yes.
Yes, I did that as well earlier this year, or a few months ago, actually.
It was just a few months ago. Yeah.
Yes. So I've spoken at the Air Force Academy as well. And so there is just the story just comes out of me, right? And my no two stories are the same because I don't read a script. I just close my eyes. I tell my guardian angel, please just say the right words. Help me say the right words. Help me say the right gestures. Do the right gestures.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes. And the feedback I got from that, Jeff, from that event has been life changing because people see me differently than I see myself, obviously, right? Because when you're
Mm-hmm.
doing the work, you're just in the middle of it,
Yeah.
right? That's all you see is weeds when you're in the garden, right? But you don't look at like people then see everything but the weeds when you're around them. And so the feedback I got from people that I had met in 2019, hadn't seen them since then, told me I'm radiating. Thank you for sharing your story. Your story impacted me. I was triggered by your story. And in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, you were triggered by my story. I must have done something horribly wrong. And instead they said, no, your story made me realize that I get
Mm.
to share more of it. Right. And having that okayness, because that's some of the battles that ethnic cultures have, is that we are scared to showcase our dirty laundry.
Yep.
We're scared to um, let people know what's going on inside of us. And America thrives on vulnerability. If any of you listen to like radio or if you ever watch TV, a lot of those ads are about prescription drugs. Take this
Yes.
drug to solve this problem. And then,
Wait. Before I want to interrupt for a second because
yes,
I would love to share the photo on your website that shows you speaking at the Air Force Academy.
yes, please do.
So there it is. That's such a great photo.
Thank you.
And
Thank you so
in the
much.
group that you got to share the stage with as well. Like Ruben
Yes,
Gonzalez, four-time Olympian,
yes,
the luge no less. Oh my gosh!
yes,
But to get that feedback and to be able to see where where you are in your journey and hear it through their experience, the audience experience.
yes, absolutely. I mean, I think that's what happened. And so when we go and watch TV, right, they list all those
Mm-hmm.
side effects. Well, if you take the
Yes.
side effects and you see it as with your coaching hat on, those side effects are actually vulnerability points. You're going to get diarrhea. Might fall sick. You might have kidney failure. Like those are vulnerable points of a human's life, right? And you might get cancer. Like they have all these different things that they list, depending on what drug you're taking. And so, in order to be fully confident, you have to be vulnerable. And by vulnerability, you invite the right people into your community. And when you invite the right people into your community, your message starts getting impacted. And you really start paying attention to what's in there in front of you. And you get the right support that you need. And a lot of ethnic cultures run away from vulnerability because they fear of the judgment. Well, people are going to judge you no matter what. I'm sorry to say that, guys. I'm sorry to say that people are going to judge you no matter what because we as humans have eyes, we have ears, we have our five senses to give us information. It's what you do with that information that matters. And people judge
Yes.
us for good things, people judge us for bad things. But at the end of the day, if you are on your path of deciding what you want, you have to put your judgment hat on no matter what, to say yes to something or say no to something. And when you say yes to something, you're definitely saying no to something else. And when you're saying no to something, you're saying yes to something else. So you're always in a battle of choosing. It depends what you want in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That
And
it
the
does.
impact that it leaves for you. So
It's in the word decide.
it's in the word
When you
decide.
look at the
Exactly.
etymology of the word decide, it's all about separating, closing
It's
off
all
one path versus and while choosing the other.
exactly. In my life that I look back from 0 to I'm 33 right now has been about doors opening, doors closing, doors opening,
Mm-hmm.
doors closing. I mean, the coaches that I worked with, I did not Google search them. They found me
No.
either through
Yeah.
LinkedIn. They found me either through Facebook or LinkedIn. They direct messaged me, and I just said yes to them because their message resonated with what I needed to offer. And I was looking for accountability. I found accountability. I was looking for community. I found a community. I was looking for how to get my message across. I found speaker training, right? I was looking for how to become an author and I didn't want to waste 20 years writing a book. I found the perfect match for that. So whatever I wanted, whatever I needed, the universe, the source delivered because I was ready for it. So whatever it is that you want in life, you have to be open to it without any judgment, without
Mm-hmm.
any closed doors. Just be open to, I want this. I'm not sure I'm going to get that, but you will see people will come knocking on your doors for you. Because that's how I've lived the last 4 years of my life in this entrepreneurial journey. Today's November 1st, 2022. And I got laid off on October 30th, 2018. And within
Wow.
48 hours, I had a business coach knocking on my door saying, let's work together.
And you said yes and took the action. There's the
I said
key,
yes, and I
right?
took the action. I had no idea where that was going to go. But after that, I hired 18 more because
Wow.
I was looking for different areas of my life that needed to be fixed.
Mm-hmm.
Because I realized that when you're an entrepreneur, it isn't just about your business selling this particular product. It's about looking inward, understanding your core value. It's about not doing the journey by yourself. It's about community.
Yes.
It's not about how you can sell this product multiple ways, understanding what other ways you can sell this product. Is it through direct messaging, learning the system about it? Is it through picking up the phone, calling,
Mm-hmm.
learning the system about it? And each coach has taught me different things that I now know how I can develop and how I can create the choice that I want to make. Right. And
Mm-hmm.
people look at me like, how'd you get so successful? Or you're so successful. I'm like, I may not be successful income wise, but I am successful in one thing. And that is that I am a heart-centered individual that just wants to make this world a better place. And I want to do this by helping people one step at a time, understanding who they are, instilling the confidence that they need so that they can better their lives as well. Because we get so caught up in the hearsay and the they said and the she said and the we said, and rather than no one's
Yep.
asking us, what is it that you
Yeah.
want and
Well,
why are
and
you
what
here?
you're doing ties into helping people be so much more self-reliant, especially getting that message to the teens and how that plays out in their life, how to go about doing that,
Exactly.
because self-reliance includes being able to work with people and being able to collaborate. This is something that maybe go, oh yeah, there's so much packed into, because that's one
Yeah.
of our overriding business goals. It's like if somebody 100 years from now, let me back up a step. I had a client a number of years ago, a Japanese electronics firm, that if I mention the name, you go, oh yeah, them. But in order to tell the story, I can't share the name.
Yeah.
So on the outbrief, my counterpart, my point of contact that I worked with at the client firm,
Yeah.
started a conversation about what the company's 400-year plan was. And we had a conversation about how they viewed the company 400 years from now.
Wow.
And which led to things like, well, before we can do that, we needed to think deeply about what can we say about 400 years in the future.
Right.
And it boiled down to values and impact, and that the company would still be there,
Right.
but these much larger, more general, big picture things. So for our company, one of the things that the self-reliance, a culture of self-reliance in the U.S. is one of our big themes.
I love
and
that, you know, and
and to
I really love that because like mine is like yours is self-reliant, mine is self-expression.
yes,
And one
and
of the
they're like this, right?
and they're like
They're
this, they're together, right?
interdependent. You need both of those. One
Yes,
leads to the other. You can't be self-reliant without that. You can't be self-reliant
exactly.
without being able to communicate well, to be able to collaborate with other people. It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
I can do a lot of stuff myself, but to really be truly self-reliant, I need to be able to effectively reach out and ask for help.
exactly. And be
I
okay
need to not
asking
be
for
afraid of
help.
looking stupid because I can't learn and master new things.
Exactly. And we have that, you know, we have that judgment of if I ask a question, it's going to be
Yep.
stupid. But if you go from a place of just being curious, just curious, I wonder, like, I'm just wondering why you acted this way, or just curious, like, can you help me figure this out? I'm a little stuck here. And so now my favorite phrase is, I'm confused. Like, I don't get it. Like, please help me. Because sometimes things are spoken too fast. Sometimes things are just too much information. How do we dissect it? Right. One of the things I'm learning is I just let people know that, hey, I'm confused. And you can label me as I'm not smart enough, or I'm not enough or something. Right. But in reality, I got the clarity that I needed. Right.
Yeah.
And going, huh? Like, what did you just say? Is okay. Is okay because you're at least open to changing the path versus coming from a place of ego, which is everyone's greatest obstacle, right? Ego equals everyone's greatest obstacle. You operate from a place of
Mm,
ego. You have now shut
nice.
down and you are not open to learning. And you just think you're the best. And so now you are doing yourself a disservice for not letting new information come through. And you also are not being polite enough to the other person because you come from a place of, I know, I know, I know, I know.
As opposed to thank you for the reminder. Somebody
Exactly.
coached me on that, and it was like, oh my gosh, that was such a small thing
Yes.
that it's proved to be a little hinge that swings a massive door.
I love that. Thank you for the reminder because we don't know. Sometimes some things are in our blind spots, you know,
Yeah.
and you
Or I
just
think I
kind of,
know. One of the biggest dangers is the stuff I think I know that is either just a partial or no longer true or whatever.
yes, exactly.
And it can be so quick that, yeah, heard that a
Yeah.
thousand times. It's like, it's well on 1001, it's going, oh, like for example, as a teenager, one of the things that I remember about the experience as a teenager is being surrounded by frustrated adults that are going, this is the best it's going to get. So enjoy it. And I'm like going, I'm 14. I have no control over my life. I do not like the school system. You've made it clear you're not real happy with me either. And this is as good as it gets. Really? Now, today I take, they may have meant, I know for sure there were some people in my life at that time that had a different message than I received that
Yeah.
they intended. But there were so many dismissive adults that are like going, because they're frustrated with what's going on in their life. And they're looking and go, man, to be 14 where I don't have this responsibility, I don't have the mortgage, I don't, I'm not working the job and don't have the job spouse and the school board and the 5 kids and all
Yeah.
this going on at the same time. Well, how nice to just go to school and study and play with friends. I get their perspective as an adult.
Yes.
But at the time, the message I got was, if this is as good as it gets, what the heck is the point?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
It's like it's all downhill. I'm only 14. It's all downhill from here. Really?
I had one of my friends tell me, she's like, I don't want to run my business because I don't want to be an adult. You know, like I don't want to be an entrepreneur because I don't want to be an adult. And the thing was that she started taking care of her mom at a much younger age. And so she automatically
Oh,
became an adult she became an adult a little bit sooner than expected. And
yeah.
so what happened was that becoming an entrepreneur would have been scary for her. So she's like, I'd rather just take the back lead and just follow through. But then she's like, but being an adult is so much more fun because you make the decisions, you get to have the wallet, you get to spend money, right? Kids, you have to be like, mom, can you? Or dad, can you? Right. And you're
Hmm.
asking for
Yeah.
support for other people. Versus when you're an adult, you want that ice cream, go buy that ice cream. If you want that candy, go get that candy. Right. So the freedom of choice comes when you're an adult. Right. And so it was just the balancing that she was sharing with us. And I was like, yeah, I tell myself that one of the reasons why I love teenagers is because I still have a teenager heart. You know, I get excited about things. And my parents always tell me, like, Michelle, you're such a roller coaster, right? Your highs are your highs, your lows are your lows. But that's what gets me excited, right? That gets find new things to do. And just dance around and just let loose for a while. Then you can get creative again and get focused on what you need to do, and just seeing life as it comes and not taking it for what it is and holding it onto it like as a full stop. Right?
We have another
Celebration.
saying. We have another saying around the house here. Dancing in the streets is mandatory.
I love that. Oh my God, I love that. Oh, I love that.
So at least a couple times a year, be out of the car in the middle of the street. I was at a training event in San Diego, and we went out for lunch, and we were running late, and we're frustrated because there was took forever to get what we ordered. We went to a fast food restaurant that none of us liked just because we thought it'd be quick, and it was not. Kind of a thing. And we're sitting at this traffic light at a massively major intersection in San Diego.
Wow.
And it's like lunchtime on a Saturday in the summertime. So you got all the beach traffic and people, businesses.
Yeah.
It's just like pandemonium. Lights red, and we're sitting there, and it's like, this light is going to be red forever. And this song pops on, and I looked at the guy that was driving, and he goes like that, and that's all it took. And doors are open, and we're out in the street dancing, and his wife and a friend of hers are in the back seat, and they're just losing it. And they're like, "Oh, wait!" And they're trying to get out of the back seat, and so all four of us are like dancing in the middle of the street. And the song ended like right before the light changed. We're back in the car and zoom, and there's people sitting around the cars, like they're on their cell phones doing stuff like, and some cars are like, yeah, like that. A couple other people popped out of their cars, and it was just, we kept it appropriate. We didn't like jam up traffic or cause a traffic jam, but it was hysterical. And then we laughed for the next 2 days. We had 2 more days for the seminar or the workshop that we were at. We just kept laughing about that the whole time, and it was wonderful. And that was
And
where
it's
the
just so much fun because all of a sudden the pressure is off. You're just doing your thing. There's no deadlines to meet. It's out of your control. The light's not turning green, right? And I always tell people whenever I complain, the universe delivers. I'm like, why is this light not turning green? Immediately it turns green. I stop my sentence, the light turns green. Or how come this isn't opening? I say that and it opens. So it's just like my friends look at me, they're like, oh my God, Michelle, like you're just so different, right? Like we would say it in our head, you just say it out loud, right?
Yeah.
But that just brings a spunk in life because you can make life any color you want. Doesn't always have to be a black hole.
And we work so hard on that as adults.
Yes.
To bring in that teenage energy.
Yes.
To bring the positive stuff from the teen years, that sense of wonder, that I don't know, tell me, constantly asking questions.
Yeah.
Hey, let's act a fool, and who cares? I do not dance well. I'm sure I looked like a total idiot dancing in the middle of the intersection, and because we made sure everybody could see us, we got right out as far as we could get without getting in traffic. And
right.
It was like, so what? But yet as teenagers, so as adults, we work so hard on reclaiming that.
Right.
Yet for teenagers, as adults, so often we're going, sit. Don't we grind it out of them even though we know better.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, there's just so much more life. I remember when I gave a presentation at a local high school here earlier this year. And I just had there were kids that were freshmen all the way up to seniors, and some were in they had assistants working with them. And the feedback I got at the end of the class, they said, Miss Michelle, I'm so much more happier now. Miss Michelle, thank you so much for being here. When are you coming back? And that feedback I got made me realize they truly have the spark. Is that they have been shut down by other people's voices, the other people's labels that have prevented their light to shine the brightest that they can be. And I had this one student, I had pulled her out in front of the whole class, and I guess there were 30, 40 kids in the classroom. And I said, why don't you come up here and tell me, why don't you not like school? Because she's like, I hate school. I was like, why don't you not like it? She goes, well, I'm failing all my classes. And I said, how would it feel if you weren't failing your classes? She goes, well, I would be a little bit more happier. Right. And I said, what do you need to do to get better grades? She goes, I'm willing to study more. I said, well, during the spring break, will you take the time to study a little bit more? And she goes, yeah, I guess I could do that. And I saw her after spring break, and I said, hey, how's your grades now? She goes, I went from an F to a B minus. And I had like tears in my eyes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. From an F to a B minus.
Yeah. Because of the fact that her mindset had to be shifted. Right. And they just make it so much harder. They say school is hard. It only gets harder. Right. Because
Yeah.
that's what you're telling yourself. But if you say the time, hey, you know what? I'm actually going to take the time off. I'm actually going to put my head down because I am confident. I am strong. I am amazing. I am capable. And you take that energy and put it towards the things that you don't really like and appreciate much. It's going to fulfill that anyways. You know, you have weeds in the grass, you water the grass, the weeds are still going to grow. Like you can't prevent that from happening unless you purposely yank them out one at a time, right? Or you do a massive weed killer hoping that the grass won't die in the
Yes. Or
process.
I heard a speaker once say, you know, my dad told me the grass looks greener on the other side of the fence, but if you took care of that lawn the way you take care of ours, it's going to be brown too. He's like, oh, okay. It's like, you don't water it, you poison it instead of fertilizer.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, so it's learning. I know I didn't have the mindset as a teenager.
Yeah.
You know, I'm such a different person today, but I look back and go, if I had the self-awareness to listen to the people, because like you, I appreciate the family I grew up in. They're
Yeah.
supportive. The older I get, the more I appreciate those relationships. That what they were encouraging me to do, the life skills, the habits that would have developed at that time, that would have served me so well, and that would have opened up the time that I spent, you know, building those later in life. Could have advanced faster. How do we help teenagers with that? I mean, what can we do to continue helping them? Because like the example that you mentioned earlier, where you asked a room full of teenage students about, you know, who has that conversation in their head and what does it say, and to hear the 100% response going, oh yeah, we all do, and then the heartbreaking messages, the self-talk they have.
So one of the things
How
I
can we
always
do a
tell
better job with
people,
them?
yeah, I always tell people like the number one thing is you have to realize who's in your head, right? What voices are they telling you? I am stupid is as equivalent to I am smart, because any I am statement is from your soul. So I am statements shape your reality. So I am stupid basically means that everything around you is going to feel like stupid because you're projecting that. You're stating that. If you say I am smart, then everything around you will feel like it's smart, right? So the choice is, what sentence are you telling about yourself? Number one. Number two, you have to really believe that you can achieve it no matter what the circumstances is. And so Jack Canfield has this principle that says E plus R equals the O. Event or the experience is constant. We have a pandemic, you can't change that. There's COVID-19, you can't change that, right? Flu season, you can't change that. You have an exam coming up, you can't change that, right? But how you react to these events or experiences is going to determine the outcome. You can react in a very negative way. Woohoo, the pandemic means I don't have to show up in school anymore, which means online school, which means pajamas all day, every day, right? Or you could react, oh my God, this pandemic sucks. I'm stuck at home. I'm horrible. Or you could say, you know what? I'm scared of the exam. I'm feeling anxious. I don't know if I can breathe. Or you could say, you know what? Exam is just a learning opportunity. Is to help me realize what I've learned. Is just a learning opportunity. Just a test to see, do I know the material or not? Right? And you say it in that way, and then you can determine the outcome. So some outcomes are extremely positive because you're embracing it. Some outcomes are extremely negative because you're rejecting them. You're saying, no, I don't want this. Right? So pay attention to your reactions to every situation that comes in front of you. Right?
So then,
and that's going to help you change your mindset.
So then, as adults, should we be watching for their reactions so that we can counsel them better, coach them better?
Yeah, if you
Set
see
better.
them,
I suppose setting better examples probably wouldn't hurt as adults either. And so,
yeah, absolutely. If you
got a
see
lot
a
of room for improvement
teenager,
personally.
if you see a teenager or a kid saying, like, screaming out loud, I'm so stupid, or I'm an idiot, or mommy, am I looking like, I had one of my friends wrote about an experience that she had with her 5-year-old. Her 5-year-old looks in the mirror and says, mommy, am I fat? And the mom says, what? Where'd you get that from? because his 5-year-old is literally like extra small. Okay. Like she's not really big at all. She's like probably her weight on average
Oh my
weight.
gosh. Yeah.
But her mom has been saying I'm fat in front of the mirror because the mom,
Oh,
right, could be saying that, or she
yeah.
might have overheard a friend say I'm fat, and so they instill that, right, and they start making it their own, and then they start questioning it. So whenever you hear or you overhear someone downplaying their strengths, downplaying these sentences, stop them and say, hey, I understand you might be feeling stupid at the moment, but what if we actually felt smart about the situation instead? Or maybe you're not overweight, maybe you're just perfect, right? Maybe you need to look a little bit more chubbier so that you look more fuller. You know, you don't look anorexic, or you don't look like you're not nutritioned enough, right? So just understanding who you are and finding the positive points in everything, right? And paying attention to the words that you're saying. Sometimes I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so dumb. I missed my turn. But then I said, you know what? I got 5 extra minutes to talk to my friend instead. Right.
Nice.
And so
Yes.
it's that opportunity to learn. And yeah, I make mistakes all the time. I say I'm stupid all the time, or I'll say, oh my God, I'm so dumb. Or I'm like, great job. Right. Like, but there were things that needed to happen in our life that made us that way. Right. And
Yeah,
just celebrating that in the middle of it.
exactly.
So, yes,
Wow. We we could go for another couple hours easily.
we totally could. Oh
It's
my
still
God, I could
barely
totally
scratched the
do
surface.
it.
What are you working on next? What you're a 4-time author, you're best-selling author, you're
Yes.
counseling with teens. What's coming up for
I
you?
actually have to correct you, Jeff. I have 7 books under my name.
7 books. Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. 7
That's so, yeah.
books.
I have 7 books under my name. I have one of them is
And
actually my
the
solo book
whoa, 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 I'm sorry. Hang on a second. Because the first book came out when?
in February of 2020.
February of 2020 was your first book, and now you have 7 that
Yeah.
you've released. Wow. Because
And one of
you
them,
mentioned that you thought writing a book was going to be hard and you didn't want it to take 20 years. So you reached out and talked to people that knew how to do it faster, how to do it right, how to get more resources, ask for assistance and counsel. And now
yes,
you've got 7. Oh my gosh.
I have 7. Yes, exactly.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And one of them is actually a solo book of mine where I wrote it from start to finish. It's about Friday the New Monday. It's called Friday the New Monday. And it has 52 there's 52 secrets to enhance your life and enhance your week. And it's basically a concept of my Facebook Lives I used to do in 2017 to 2019. I've
Oh.
taken 52 videos,
Hmm.
had a ghostwriter transcribe them, and I have put them into a book.
Nice.
And so that came out July of this year. So, and I'm
Nice.
working on my 8th book, which is basically I've invited 13 people come together to share their stories. These are 13 women in the entrepreneurial space who have shared their stories about what made them say yes to their dream career, their dream relationship, and to their dream passion project. Because it's about embracing that got them to be successful entrepreneurs, successful women. And my particular chapter is about deflection because I recently learned in August of this year, where I met Jeff in person, that I am a queen of deflection. I am a queen of deflecting. When someone gives me a compliment, I don't know how to take it in all the way. And I say, so are you, right back at you. Or I'll say, thank you so much. And I give them a compliment back. Right. And when we deflect, we actually are rejecting who we are. And so I've realized that I needed to get some healing around it. And so my entire chapter is about deflecting and creating ways to embrace who you are on the inside. Because as women, we take care of everybody else. And sometimes we forget to take care of ourselves. And as a woman that's single, I have learned to put everybody else around me first and then put myself second. But now I'm learning through the healing process that I've been on the past 4 years to put myself first and then take on other people's opportunities and learn from them. And having the power of the words that have been said to me as compliments has made me realize who I am on the inside. Something that I did not know was there or available to me.
Yes, and what a powerful realization.
Thank you. Thank you.
Looking forward to reading that, the whole book, but particularly your section, your chapter
Yes,
on
I'll send it to
reflection.
you separately. How about that?
I like that. I like that idea. We're at the top of the hour.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Perhaps we'll do a part 2.
Absolutely. Would love to do a part 2. And I'm so excited to be here with you. And thank you so much for the viewers for being here. It's been such an honor connecting with all of you. Please look at my website, visit me. For all the listeners, I'm actually going to give you the opportunity to have a confidence strategy session with me.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about your goals. Let's talk about the struggles that you are facing in your family life, or if you're as a teenager, whatever issues you're solving. Let's talk about that and let's build a connection, because right now community is needed more than ever. And
yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
thank you so much for letting me be here. So I'll send you my calendar link. You guys, please visit my website. And I have a free gift that I'm offering as well to all the parents of teenagers and teenagers. It's called Motivate Your Teen Success Guide. These are 10 success secrets to help you enhance your positivity in your life as well. As a family, you all can work together. So this is like 10 success secret tips to help you enhance motivation in your life.
Yes, and I can vouch, as you're watching this, you go to Michelle's website, and we've got the link right here for you. Go to Michelle's website. You really want to get that guide for teens. That is phenomenal. That is so helpful.
Thank you.
Michelle, thank you so much for what you're doing. Thanks for saying yes and being on the show.
Of course, it's been such a pleasure. I've had so much fun on this conversation with you, and I'm so glad we finally got to hang out together.
Yes, indeed. And thank you for watching. Always glad to have you a part of the conversation on Wolf's Watch. And you know what? If you're watching this on the replay, add your comments. If you got a question, put it in the comments, because we monitor that. We watch it, and Michelle and I will talk about it. We'll make sure you get an answer to your question.
Absolutely.
So thanks for being part of Wolf's Watch. I'm Wolf, and I look forward to seeing you on the trail.
Thank you so much. Take care.